Okay, so there's something from Lucy Johnson, 78. So it's a picture of Kate Moss from the latest series of the British Vogue, who said it reminded her of the Harper's Bazaar shoot from the 1950s. Yes, there's something intentional in that. I wanted to make it look like those sort of shots that we know and love of Aberdeen's, and we see women in the street and they seem to be going about their lives. It's an area of photography I haven't really previously looked at very much. Normally I'm a studio-based photographer, so going out into the street was quite fun. Just so you know, this particular shot of Kate is done by holding a tiny makeup mirror. Holding the camera with one hand, photographing into a makeup mirror, so I have most of the scenes recorded it's that way, but Kate's actually standing behind me. So it gives it that sort of strange double exposure, if that deals with that one. Apart from somebody called Palais Black, so wants to know who the clothes were by in that shot.
The dress is Hermes.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Leather dress by Hermes.
There you go, so that's leather dress by Hermes. And I posted these pictures before the magazine was actually in my hands, so I didn't have access to the information. And normally I can remember, but this particular one I couldn't. So that's that. Again, on the same story, so the Kate Moss story here. Somebody who we know very well, Petra Lunenberg, wrote, love these, love the nude in the back, very atmospheric. Which is basically, yes, it was all shot, that Kate saw, a lot of it was shot at the club in the middle of Berkeley Square, which is called Annabelle. Thank you very much. And this particular shot was shot in bathroom. And if everyone's ever been to Annabelle, you'll know what I'm talking about. Annabelle's is probably the most designed place I've ever been in, the most decorated place I've ever been in. There are things everywhere, paintings and decorations and things. And in one of the ladies' bathrooms, there's a beautiful oil painting of a nude. And I wanted to try and get that in the shot as well, but we worked a lot with mirrors in this shoot. So a lot of it is reflections. Hence the first one I was holding a little makeup mirror to reflect into. So in Annabelle's, in the ladies' bathroom, it's very beautiful. It's covered in pink glass and little pink lights. It's hyper decorated. I think it's probably the best way to describe it. If you've never been to Annabelle's, it's just got a lot of decoration on every surface, which kind of works. It could have gone either way, but I think it kind of works. Again, from the same shoot, there's one here from somebody who writes absolutely fabulous combination, Chagall, Modigliani and Kate. The atmosphere and everything in the picture is just amazing. Love it. Which is, again, it's that picture of her sitting in that funny room at Annabelle's. It's got real Chagalls in it, real paintings by Modigliani. So it's just very strange. It's a Lifetime Members Club room. So it's a little tiny room. And it's just got a bar at one end of it, and it's got these real, very incredibly valuable, well-known artist paintings on the wall. And it seemed to be just, one couldn't not photograph them. And the other thing is the floor is made of slices of, what do you call it? Not quartz, but that mineral you see cut into slices, and it was light coming through it. I'm sorry, my memory's shot these days, but I can't remember anything. But it makes a very odd, lit-up, sort of op-art floor out of minerals. So that's interesting. Somebody called Ben Joe Max, again about the same picture, wrote, remind me of those divinely decadent times in the late 70s. I would really like to know, Ben Joe Max, what divinely decadent things you were doing in the late 70s. Anyway, there's that, that's her, that's to you, somebody called Coco Honore. So this is a work of art, or this is a print. Thank you very much. And there's somebody else, Stuart J. Day, said, how can I get a print I love? Lots of using it. The person who sells my prints is somebody called Carrie Scott. If you go to the Nick Knight website, there's a little subsection there called limited edition prints. If you go there, you can contact Carrie there. If you have a problem, you can always email me on info@nkimage. That'll get to me too. Or you can direct message me. But we do sell prints for all of our series. So. Still on the same Kate Moss series, it says, I love Kate and I love you, thank you very much. This is practically a painting. The real Kate Moss is 44 years old and looks literally nothing like this. I mean, it's true, but photography is like painting. I think there's a misunderstanding of what photography does. Photography is not about showing reality, photography is about showing somebody's opinion. And I use all the tools, whether it's lighting or camera angle or choice of lens or filters or anything that comes to hand to be able to express myself. I don't care if the image is completely blurred or completely looks nothing like a sort of what was actually in front of me. But that's my job. My job is to show my desire is to see things I haven't seen. So I'm not very happy just looking in front of me and thinking, well, I'll just show you what I can see. Actually, I want to make something, I want to construct something. So there's no intention from my side of things, to make this look like reality. You wouldn't make that comment if it was a painting. There's very little difference now between painting and photography. If I pick up my mobile phone, I take a picture of young Tom sitting on the other side of the web camera. I can then, on an app, just move his image around as if it's made of wet paint. So this has no resemblance to recording reality. Anyway, it's a comment, obviously, I get a little bit, saying, oh, she looked over-retouched. Retouching starts as soon as you can see the image. Retouching, which is often put as a sort of negative term, as if there's been some trickery or sleight of hand, is just part of the photographer's craft. So it's just as important as which lens you use or how high up you put the camera. When you position this webcam, we put it at a certain height because it makes it look a certain way. So that's why it's at that height. If we put it up much higher, then we'd all look completely different. If we put it much lower, we'd all look completely different. That changes how our body shape is depending on where we put the camera. So it doesn't make any sense if you try and take out the craft of photography, then you end up with nothing. It's like saying a writer, they can't use words to describe things. It's what we do, it's our craft. But don't ever think that photography is about reality. Nothing to do with it at all. Anyway.
Can you remember a point in your career where that retouching question became a thing that cycled through? Because obviously, like you say, in photography, it's always kind of been a thing that pictorialists would walk in with prints to make things look different ways.
Yeah.
People have always done things with lenses, Manuel has messed around with things, Cortez. So it's always been present, whether it was in a dark room or on a computer. But do you remember a point where this conversation started being thrown at you all the time?
It came up, well, obviously it came up more when we got social media, when we got the ability for the public to respond to what we're doing. Otherwise, as photographers, you put an image in a magazine or out on a billboard, and there's no forum for people to respond to it, so they can't do it. And that was a sort of slight frustrating thing in the kind of, prior to the internet and prior to SHOWstudio, and one of the reasons I started it, is because otherwise you're putting a story in a magazine and you've got no idea what people think of it. It's no telling. The only thing you had was the editor's letters page, which they used to all make up in any case. So nobody would write in and say what they thought of the pictures. And it's sort of frustrating as an artist. There's been a lot of talk recently about, and coming from my friend Kanye, about taking off the likes on social media. I just don't know that's true. I don't think it's a good thing. People like to know whether you like their work or not. I mean, of course, there's a real artist should not acknowledge their audience. But how many musicians would stand in front of an empty concert hall and sing? Musicians especially have I remember talking to Bobby Gillespie about this. And him saying, it shouldn't matter how many likes you have, but it matters to him how many people turn up at his concerts. Yeah. And it would be, imagine doing a concert where 3 people turn up, you'd feel a bit kind of, okay, the other 9,997 didn't bother them. Likes are something which I get the whole thing that, our life should not be based about seeking approval for what we do, or seeking admiration, or seeking, sort of recognition. But the truth of it is, we all like that. We all want to be told we've done something good, and it's very nice when we are. And if 1 million people say you're amazing, it feels kind of great. That's not my case, but I'm just adding to that. And the weird thing actually on that, if 100 people say you're fantastic and one person says you're rubbish, you will only ever remember the person that says you're rubbish. That's the nature of criticism, I think. Anyway, so it's straying a little bit off subject. So I'm not going to. I want to deal with this one, which is one of Travis Scott, who said, would love to see the process of creating this imagery. It's very straightforward, super straightforward. Most of what we do is straightforward. I think the people think I use a lot of trickery in my imagery, in so much I do lots of complicated things. I don't. On the whole, I'm pretty simplistic. This image of Travis was shot with a ring light, and the background was made of 3M, which is a reflective material. And so, you know what street signs are made of? So the car headlines catch a street sign half a mile away, it lights up white. That's because of the reflective material called 3M. Now, people have used that on lots of clothing. Matt Williams uses that a lot in our league, so I've used it together with Matt in many things, and this was for Matt Williams. If you put 3M behind somebody, it kicks back, and you let it flash in front of it, it kicks up so much light, it's blinding. So all I did was set the control on my camera to go so that the image was dark, so it wasn't completely flared out, which means that Travis's skin goes completely dark, and the background goes a sort of concretey, difficult, and you have the sort of odd sort of shadow around it. And it does strange things to him. And then afterwards in when I was working on the image, I just lifted back certain parts of it, lifted it back right again. There's so much latitude on a modern file, a modern photographic file, that you've got from the brightest white to the darkest dark. So you can just play with it, and that's often what I will do, is to just lift little bits out of it in post. So anyway, so that's how that image is connected. There's one on the similar series, it's from im_studio, who's written, these images carry connotations that are not appropriate for some people of colour. Your work is always valuable to our culture, but is crossed an uncomfortable line. I understand what you're saying, I can empathise with what you're saying. It wasn't my intention, I'm not racist, so therefore I wouldn't try and create a racist image, if that's what you're saying. I understand it pulls in certain things which are uncomfortable. When I was doing this, I had Travis standing next to me, and he's looking at the screen that I'm looking at, so he's seeing the image I'm making, and he loved how they looked. So, as there's no racist intention, in fact, quite the opposite, I'm a very strong anti-racist, and certainly with the artist present, so he was okay with how we were depicting him, and he was, if I say complicit, it sounds very dodgy, and he was really happy with it. So, therefore, as there's no intention, sir, no intention of making an image which is in any way racist, it's just playing with people's skin tones. Now, I know that's a touchy issue. I totally, in saying this, I realise that it's a sort of a difficult thing to talk about. But really, the way people are representing photography has got nothing to do with reality. And you have to start to see photography as that, and not start to see it as a way of depicting the truth. It isn't, it's an opinion. Often when I photograph people, I bleach their skin out so it goes completely white. But people aren't white like the floor. They're sort of weird, bluey, pinky, all manner of different colours. But often we'll just accept it when they go white. And the same thing, I'll take people completely black. So I photographed Kate Moss once, who obviously had a kind of a paler skin tone. And just by making the light lower, I made her skin go black. I wasn't doing blackface. There was no intention to be racist about it. It was actually something I did for The Independent. It was the front cover, and Giorgio Armani did the guest editorship of it. And it was to say, look, there are hundreds of thousands of people contracting HIV in Africa, and we don't care. The Western society is doing nothing about this. You would care if your icons would, would you still care if your icons had dark skin? So that was the reason to do it. But it was no way to do blackface, and there was no, it's just, when you turn your aperture in the camera a certain way, you get less light. And so people's skins naturally go darker. If you turn the other way, they go lighter. But how we're depicted and how we're okay with how we look seems to me completely personal. I'm quite happy we make my skin dark. I'm quite happy we make it light. I'm quite happy we make it blue. I don't know what can be seen on webcam, but that side of it, there's a picture of Linda Evangelista, who has, for all intents and purposes, blue skin. Of course, doesn't have blue skin. It's just in the same way that somebody like Chagall would paint a painting. They'd use whatever colour they want, because that's the colour that emotively works for them. And I think we have to start seeing photography and judging it in the same way that you judge a painting. Anyway, I wanted to deal with it. I'm not sure I have done very well, but my honest feelings, it was not done in any way to be offensive to people of colour, and I completely understand the issues there. I just think we have to be a little bit more open-minded with the images we create of human beings, and stopping trying to force ourselves to be one thing or another. Hope that makes some sense. I did try. Anyway, we're going on and not going much further in terms of topic. There's this picture here that came up, and somebody called X345699. It was written in capital, big capital letters. Just hire a dark-skinned girl instead next time. You're robbing dark-skinned women of opportunities that are already far and few in the industry. This is so disappointing. It's a picture of somebody who has dark skin. So I really don't understand. This is somebody, I have no idea her ethnic background.
But it doesn't correlate.
Yeah. It's somebody who has dark skin. I've made her skin darker, but it's somebody who has dark skin in any case. She's a very brilliant model called Yusili, and she's got dark skin, so I'm not quite sure, but it seems to be that times, or X345699, you're not actually looking at the picture. So I'm reassuring this girl has dark skin, which just seems strange. Same shoot, same girl. Yusili again, for Matt Williams and Frank Ali. Somebody who goes under the name of 187 The Crescent. Sorry. So it's written, why is it you can show nipples, but I got banned from IG, from Instagram, for a CGI that was the front cover of Creative Technology magazine that I created in 1997. That had nipples. Love your work, though. Thank you, I'm glad you love my work. Well, just so you know, this got banned too. fucking Instagram took it off my Instagram account, bastards. Anyway, it's ridiculous. I mean, I know I'm preaching for converting to anybody who's listening to this, but why Instagram have set this ridiculous moral standard where you can't show a woman's nipples? To me, it's unbelievable. It demonises a part of a woman's body, which for all intents and purposes is a beautiful part of a woman's body. I mean, every part is, etc. But I don't understand, I really don't understand how we're slipping towards sort of Victorian values and how we represent pieces of women. I get there shouldn't be demeaning, and I think there's some questions later on I'll try and deal with that came up for that. But I think the idea that showing a naked body is sinful, that in any way that sex is sinful, is completely wrong. I think it's totally fucked up way of looking at things. I hate Instagram for doing it. I've thought of taking off my account many times because of that policy. I couldn't be more baffled than you are. I absolutely do not understand why people think it's wrong to show a woman's breasts and why that's the thing. And it comes a lot from America, and I really don't get it. I really do not get that sort of fake moralistic standard where it's fine to show somebody having their brains blown out, but it's not fine to show a piece of somebody's body. Anyway, so I completely agree with you, and yes, they took down mine as well, so you're not alone. Moving on to slightly more less dodgy territory, I crucified myself. So from somebody called LUI_Rasto, who's written, Nick Knight, what in the world, how did you execute this? Is this pre or post? That's what's amazing about your work, I can never tell. So it's a picture of a young friend of mine called Demi. Demi posed for this picture, which I included in the latest Elite catalogue. It's a very interesting technique. If you were listening earlier on, I was telling you about 3M background. Well, 3M comes in a spray, and we literally sprayed Demi's body with 3M paint. The weird thing they use 3M paint for, which comes in aerosol, is to mark reindeer's antlers, so you can see them in the dark. And it's shot on my iPhone. And it's a still from a film on my iPhone. I use my iPhone nearly all the time, and it's a very, very good camera. And this is just, the iPhone is so sensitive to light, and this is just with the light from the iPhone lighting up in the 3M spray. It's really beautiful. This 3M spray is a little bit hard to get hold of, by the way. So, anyway, so that's that. And then we're on to some of these. It's a slightly different format, which is where Callum and I do show talks. So Callum goes to the shows in New York or Paris or Milan or London, although it doesn't particularly like going to Milan.
Well, I haven't been.
I can send you. So Callum goes to the shows, and then straight after the show, as soon as we can, Callum calls in on Instagram Live, and then we just chat about the show. It isn't the idea to do a kind of live review.
It's more of a discussion, kind of putting the information out there, and then quite often we do give our opinions on what we've spoken about, but it's not a stern-hardy review. It's normally about what's happened and trying to put that in some context of the season or put it in context to something, and then we normally discuss it. I think it's more of a discussion.
So it's a kind of, it's just a chat. But Callum's been to the show, and what I was saying to Callum is sometimes when you read fashion journalists' review of the show, they're super, what's the best way to put it, polite. So sometimes they're not as sycophancy. Sometimes they're so embroiled in the language of journalism you don't understand what the show's about. And often fashion journalists, quite rightly, have a huge knowledge of fashion and want to show off. However, if you want to know what the show's like, sometimes it's just ask somebody who say, well actually it was really this, that and the other, and just tell you exactly what it's like. So we try and do it on that line. So it isn't to try and do a sort of version of fashion show review, it's to talk about what went on in the show. I think probably splitting hairs here. But one of the things that I notice when we're doing these show talks is because they're live on Instagram Live, I see all the comments coming up, and it's quite interesting that sometimes when we see the comments coming up, it's when we go live to the main feed.
We get top live, we get lots of people who don't necessarily care about Marion Sear and her Springs on the show, and we get lots of people who just want to be rude.
So I see these comments coming up saying, who's that bald cunt? Which isn't particularly nice.
Could be both of us.
Which could be both of us, because the idea is both bald. So I see a lot of these come out, and actually when you see them, the offensive ones come out, I take off my glasses because then I couldn't read them. But there are good ones that come up occasionally, and there are ones that are pertinent. So I'll try and not deal with the board cut questions and deal with the slightly better ones that have come. Anyway, so I was doing one on Caroline, talking about Marine Serre, who's a new French designer.
Newish, yeah, she's in third season, one early image, so she's doing quite well. She's got a bigger, yeah.
But part of the problem with these things is actually getting Instagram Live to work, which has been a big problem. They had a weird sound issue. I don't know if anybody else has come across this, but there was a lot of weird stuff going on with Instagram sound on the live stories. So I would connect to Karen and everything would go quiet. And we worked out, if I turned off my Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, then it seemed to work. And Karen worked on an iPhone 6 and I worked on whatever. It was a weird combination of things that put it to work again. Anyway, one of them we were doing just recently when I was in Chicago with Kanye. And I was doing it from the same, just outside Kanye's office in Chicago, there's what they call the elevator trains, those ones that don't go underground but on tracks above. And every time it goes by, the sound is so deafening that you can't hear or speak, which is why when Kanye did the broadcast, it just said something like, excuse me, there's a train going by. Which is quite odd. You get used to working there after a while, but literally, the trains go by every 5 minutes. When I was doing a live broadcast with Cameron, the train went by. And somebody recognised, I guess, the background of my picture, which was of course intentional, and noticed that I was in Chicago and wrote working with Kanye. The answer is, I'm under NDA, so I can't say. No, I'm not under NDA. I can't tell you what I'm working on, but I can tell you, thank you, Rob, that I am working with Kanye. And I've worked with Kanye on and off for the last 6 years, something like that. And I have an enormous amount of respect for Kanye, and an enormous amount of love for him, and a lot of time for him. So, yes, I am working with Kanye at the moment. It's a big and very exciting project, and obviously, because with Kanye, we're trying to do something new and different, and anything new and different often takes time, and we're trying to get it right. So that's what we're working on at the moment. And just to say that I know that he says things which are often taken in, it's very hard not to take them in the wrong way. As a person, and I really don't want to overstep my marks, I feel that if Kanye and I want to talk together, we should do it in public, not me for him. But I have a great amount of respect for him. And I can just tell you that nearly everything that I've seen him do is for the better of humanity. The best. He's trying to do something good. So, but I really do feel inappropriate talking about him as he's not here. So excuse that, but I can say that I am working with him, and I can say also an enormous amount of love and respect for him. Is that Brian Lee?
Brian.
Yeah.
Who's written, Nick, what inspires you more, fashion or photography? I don't know a lot of difference. Photographers are showing fashion. I don't get inspired so by photography. I guess in philosophy, fashion inspires me more than the way I show it. I'm inspired by something, therefore I show it using photography. So I don't sort of just get inspired by the act of showing something, I get inspired by the thing I'm showing, or the thing I'm working with. So I guess in that context, fashion inspired me more than photography, but I love photography, and I love being able to use it to show fashion. Fashion has been something that has been crucial to me and a part of my life ever since I can remember. I can remember as a sort of 7 or 8 year old being really excited about getting a black wet look shirt from, I think it was CNA actually, in Brussels. So, my mother was a woman who would dress up all the time. She would dress, my mother was born in 1915, so she's from a totally different generation, for different values, but she would think it was totally correct for a woman to dress and change what she's wearing 4 or 5 times a day. So she'd dress for breakfast, then she'd dress for mid-morning, then she'd dress for lunch, she'd dress for high tea, and she'd dress for supper or dinner. So yeah, she would change it, and she loved it. So I guess I got some of my mother's enjoyment of dressing, but weirdly my father was completely the opposite. Your grandfather was somebody who didn't believe in fashion whatsoever. He wasn't hostile, negative to it, he just didn't think it was relevant. He had this weird thing, again, very outdated attitude, it was odd and completely out of place now, but he thought a gentleman shouldn't be seen. That was in the role of the lady. So a gentleman would sort of visual step back so the woman could present herself in whatever finery she had. And it was ungentlemanly to overdress, because you'd be somebody being discourteous to the woman you're with. Those are funny old views. Now it's ridiculous, but that's what he believed. And also, he just didn't want to spend any money on clothes. He didn't think it was important. He used to work for the civil service.
But it is interesting because he loved design. It wasn't into visual arts and all that. He loved design. He collected antiques for a lot of his life.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that he took himself away from that. It was just with clothes. He didn't feel that connection with it.
Yeah. It was very strange. He worked for the Ministry of Defence. He was a diplomat with NATO. He used to work in Admiralty Arch, just about down the mall. And I went to Admiralty Arch to see him a couple of times. And if you've ever seen Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, that's the world my father used to live in. Everything shades of grey and beige and a sort of odd colour which isn't describable but probably happens in nature. Nobody would dress flamboyantly. They were all dressed in those kind of weird suits that nobody really looks like an individual. So he wearing a suit. And it is a kind of odd thing that my mother was so flamboyant, my father was completely opposite. So fashion has been part of my life. And of course I was a skinhead in the late 1970s, and that's a street fashion and a fashion which is incredibly, it's one of those fashions that you feel what you're wearing, i.e. you wear clothes because they say who you are, what you think. They're used as a provocation, they're used also to fit into a gang, all those sorts of things. So dressing becomes more than just a kind of, I think I look good in this. It's a way of provoking, fitting in, belonging, etc., etc. Like anybody who is part of the gang, there's a whole psychology to gang membership, and it's the way that you all look the same, or you all know the codes, and that means that when you meet somebody else in the gang, you are automatically have some sort of feeling that you're in the same team, if you want, part of the same thing. From one of my show talks on the Gareth True Show, and somebody wrote on Timothy, who is the Sam Smith-looking guy on top?
It's me. That is me.
So it's better than what they usually call us.
Yeah.
Just skipping on, this is back onto my Instagram. This is a picture of roses, and somebody wrote, at Nick Knight, what style of roses are these? The upper left looks like a peony. I get this a lot. I find it, and some people get really quite adamant with me. They're not peonies. I don't grow peonies, I only grow roses. The only thing I have is roses. There are no peonies in my garden now, not peonies. So please, if you ever think they're peonies, they're really not. I have some roses that look a bit like peonies, which is often what you think they are, but they're not. They're roses. On that note, Sam McKnight1, who is Sam McKnight, who also grows roses and also has a very beautiful garden, wrote I Spy Lark Ascending. So that particular rose is called Lark Ascending. It's a sort of favourite, to be honest. And my friends Kat and Andy named their daughter Lark. Probably not good, but maybe. So this one here, inspiration, more floral books, please. Yeah, I'm working on a book of roses. It's also one of the questions that get asked me a lot. When's the book of roses coming out? And the answer is, I'm sort of putting it off. Because as soon as I do a book on roses, then it's going to feel really weird photographing roses the next year. So if I did a book on roses this year, I still want to continue to photograph them next year. So I'm shying away from doing a book on roses. So from somebody called ___________Han who's written, the exhibition career was very good. I hope to have a better work in the future. I'm your big fan, Nick. So I guess that person's career is a guess. I had an exhibition career last year, or the year before actually, and there's another exhibition of flowers, in fact, in Tokyo this coming November. So those who might be in Tokyo, I'm going to be having an exhibition at the Mass Gallery in the beginning of November. So do come and say hello. Still on the roses, there's a few rose questions I want to go through really quickly. So something from Hassa, please Lord Jesus, tell us how you do these shots. Not quite sure what Lord Jesus got to do anything with this, but still. There's a shot on my kitchen table, literally with my iPhone, that's it. So as I said, a lot of my work is very simple in its approach. All my rose pictures are simply shot on my kitchen table, and I cut them, put them in a vase, and then spend about 5 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say the time.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing there. It's Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Saturday and or Sunday. Yeah, so I start at 10 in the morning, normally, or 9:30 in the morning, I'm being very good, and by 1 o'clock the light doesn't work anymore. So you can't really go much past 12:30, 1 o'clock. So that's what I tend to do in the growing season when I've got sort of weekend that I can do it on. But they're shot really simply just on the iPhone.
It is, when I look, so part of my job is to look through your iPhone and collect the images for the roses, so we have a good archive of all the rose images. And it's one of the things that I think for me has been a really good learning experience working with you. Because you've always said about an image being like a symphony, and if one little piece of it is out, it doesn't work. And the rose images are a really good example of that. So you see the start of the next session where he's decided what prop, if anything, he wants to use with a rose, whether it be a piece of stone or a glass. And you start to see you build these roses up, and just the little pieces that you move around just change the weight and the balance of the image so much, and you can see the path that your mind's taken until you get to the end of it. So they're really interesting, the sets of images to watch you process through. They're a really, really intriguing part of the work that you do.
I mean, it's the thing when I'm photographing, as Rob says, literally, if it's a pixel out, it won't be right. And it's very, if you imagine somebody with a very good ear fine-tuning a violin or a musical instrument, you know, they know when it's perfect pitch. I guess I have a similar sort of thing for vision, for sight. I can tell when a picture's out because it's discordant. It doesn't produce a sound in me that I like. It's not right. I'll twist and push and turn my camera and the roses until everything bounces around the screen is in total harmony, as far as I'm concerned. And that's what takes 5 hours to get to that point. And often you don't get to that point. It becomes harmonious, but not particularly beautifully harmonious. Yeah, there are levels of it. So it's very hard when people say to you things like, you know, we're just going to take that, you know, when clients say, you know, we just want to take that part of your photograph out and replace it with something else, or that sort of thing, because you can't do that any more than you can take a musical, any more than you can take a melody and take a few notes out and bung more of the notes you like it in, as if that makes the melody do it. It's the same thing with photograph. You just can't add the number of things you like, or take all the shadows out, or you know, whatever it is. People who do not understand visuals do not understand this. And most people do not understand visuals to the level that a great photographer will do. I'm not saying a great photographer. You should trust your photographers. There are some amazing people working out there. I can do roll call, it's easy. Mark Bond, Merton Marcus, Craig McDean, Dave Sims. So many great photographers working at the moment. There are, you know, Mark Bond's son, Tyrone. I mean, there are fantastic people. Because photography is a great medium, and image making is a great medium. And there are great people doing it. But you have to trust them that they know what they're doing. If you're a potential client out there, you're an advertiser or whatever, you have to trust the photographer. It's their skill set. It's what they know how to do, and there's some really great ones out there. Very quickly, somebody called wrote, "I want to see your garden." Apparently you don't. Going to my son Cannon, don't. What I was going to say is my garden's on my Instagram. Literally, you just scroll back through it. There's lots of pictures of my garden. So the form of it is my roses grow on a terrace. They're in pots. They're not planted in the ground. They're in pots. I have a very beautiful nature-filled house. The central courtyard of it is all made out of dark and very basalt, and on that I have my roses. The rest of the garden is ivy on the floor covering and silver birches, and that's it. So that's my garden. It is, the front and back is ivy and silver birches, and in the middle is this very colourful courtyard. There's roses in it, very colourful, because that's the centre of colour. So my whole garden is not full of roses, it's literally just a courtyard that has probably about 40 rose bushes in it, in different forms. I was given them a lot when I used to work for different companies, and we started buying them. A lot of them come from David Boston, just beautiful roses. Some are from Hilltop Nursery, just in Kingston. So they're just, you know, and we've probably about 40 or 50 of them. And I tend not to photograph red roses. Anyway, you want to see if I go, and that brings me on to a question from somebody called Carmel_Gibbons, who used to be my gardener, who wrote, "Is the garden still the same? I still wonder if the birch trees are there." Yeah, Carmel, they're still there, although they die this often of honey fungus, which is very upsetting because you lose a sort of, when you laughing at it's true, they die of honey fungus.
I'm not questioning it, it's just a bad name for it.
Anyway, so somebody else has written J_Dudgeon, D-U-D-G-E-O-N, has written, "Nick Knight, I know these images are in search for sale. I'd absolutely love to purchase. You've captured the fragility of the form so beautifully. A lot of the images of the roses are already in the process of return to the earth. Kiss." Yes, they are for sale. They will be for sale soon on a website that I can't remember out. They're going to be for sale in Tokyo. And if you want to contact me, by the way, I said it earlier on, through Carrie Scott or through info@nkimage, we can put you in contact with the person that sells our things. Somebody called VECHURKO.projects wrote, "Adorable shot, does it take much time to take care of flowers?" Yeah, you have to keep them watered. Yes, you have to spray them twice a season with kind of, things to get rid of fungus, and you have to prune them back in the winter. So a little bit of time, but not a huge amount. So the last question we're going to do today is somebody called Cookie, COOKIEE Munster written about something which was a screenshot of Plato's Atlantis. Why hasn't stuff like this carried on since the Queen's death? I always loved the theatricality of his shows. It wasn't just about the clothes, the performance was just as important. Yeah, it's very true. Lee, Alexander Queen, put a lot of time, money and love into his shows, and they were his way of showing his collection. They were the sort of creative way he wanted to show his collection. They became incredibly important for him because he realised the power of the theatrics of them. And he would invest a lot of his time and love in them. I had the great fortune to work with Lee through a lot of his career, and was involved in some of the shows. Most obviously I was involved in Plato's Atlantis, which was his last show, which was an amazing show. This is what the picture from, where we had these huge motion control robots going up and down the catwalk with cameras on them following the girls up and down. They were all pre-programmed, so if something went wrong during the show, that was it. The robot would still keep on going up and down. You couldn't stop it. Once you pressed go to begin the show, that robot was going to do its trajectory, and whatever happened. The thing I didn't know, and none of us knew, of course, we knew that Lee was going to do incredibly high shoes, but we didn't know that Guido, the hairdresser, was going to do incredibly high hairstyles. So the models suddenly became 2 foot taller than they were, and the cameras were supposed to swoop above them. Had they clunked one of the models on the head, that model would be over, and it's not possible, and not be able to get back up again, which wouldn't have been a particularly good sight. But that didn't happen. Lee took a lot of risks with his shows, and luckily, through talented people like Sam Gainsbury, they were pulled off with aplomb and brilliantly. A great show producer like Sam Gainsbury is a very important person to have as part of this. But Lee loved his shows. The last one, Plays Atlantis, was an amazing show. It went out live on SHOWstudio, and then we didn't know when we put it out live that a recording artist under the name of Lady Gaga,
who wasn't the same as she is now, it's more beginning of her career.
Beginning of her career, but she still had 6 million little monsters following her on her social media channels, and she tweeted to them all to go and see the show on SHOWstudio. So 6 million people tried to go and see the show at one time, which if you ever ask anybody who's been involved in live streaming, that's not exactly what you want to hear, want to know is happening. 6 million people trying to get through a small door at the same time creates a bit of a problem, and in our case it just knocked the whole building over. And I remember sitting there backstage in the sort of tech booth, which at the time was quite sort of ornate, and there was lots of people working away doing it, and watching the people whose responsibility it was to broadcast the show, watching the colour drain out of their faces as the screen visibly melted in front of them as 6 million little monsters tried to come and watch the show exactly at the same time. The show, the live stream went into a kind of almost physical meltdown. And it was very upsetting because I had no idea that Lady Gaga was going to release that track at that point. The rehearsal, which was 3 hours beforehand, it had been the theme tune from The Jungle Book, or Little Mermaid, that was proposed, and that's what I thought was going to happen. And I had no idea it was going to happen. Lee mentioned it 2 months prior to that, but never mentioned it again. We didn't think it was going to happen. So we had no way that, even if we know that Lady Gaga was going to release Bad Romance as a finale, there's nothing we could have done to accommodate it. We were given, I think, $100,000 to do that show for something like ISG, to buy the broadband to accommodate 6 million people at the same time was massive. Would have been massive. Nobody would have ever said, yeah, you'll probably get 6 million people coming to this. The shows that have been live streamed now, and you get sort of, what was it, Burberry got? Who was you saying the other day? 4,000? That's what you get for a live stream normally. There's a difference between 4,000.
4,000 on one channel, because people live stream more.
So let's be generous and say 20,000 people in sort of numbers. And we had bracketed up to 50,000 people could have come and watched that show. So we thought that was about the reason for security. We never thought 6.5 million.
But the question is why stuff doesn't happen like this anymore after his death.
Yes.
I think the question there is more about this idea that you don't have great artists come along one after the other, and you don't, and if you're following after, like Sarah had to do after Lee's death, she didn't necessarily, she can't, she's an amazing designer, but she can't do, her head doesn't work like that, and she can't do big shows with that much theatrics, because you're not going to have everyone who can do that. So I think she left that side of the shows as kind of a dedication to Lee, because that was Lee's thing. Yeah. And she didn't want to try and imitate it, after his death, because that was one of the many things he brought to the brand that continued after his death. So I think that answers the question, why it doesn't happen, is because it shouldn't happen, because not everyone should be trying to do that.
But some people still do, some designers do still do interesting
Oh,
shows.
they do.
And I think what's important as well, and what probably is more interesting as well, like what Lee was doing, is obviously Plato's Atlantis was pretty much the first catwalk show live stream.
It was the first.
Whereas now, people live stream shows for just commerce.
Yeah.
I guess the idea of live streaming Plato's Atlantis wasn't a commerce decision, it was a decision by you and
it was part
Lee.
of the story.
Yeah. And so all the stuff that they had done prior to that were all these amazing shows, were done not as like a commerce thing so people could see a fancy set, they were done as part of the art. And I think some of the designers that still do really interesting shows are doing a really interesting show not as a commerce thing, but as things that people are more aware of, the kind of
Victoria's Secret show.
Yeah, where it's just the stream and the set are just kind of thrown out there as a thing that is streamable and really easily filmed, and everybody becomes aware of it, and that becomes a zeitgeist of what a catwalk show is now, because it's what everybody's digesting and stuff. But people like Gareth, I think, still do really interesting shows, and really, we've in 1 year across 2 seasons, I think we worked with Gareth on 2 really interesting shows. One where he showed a really interesting space in Islington, and then one where he decided not to do a conventional catwalk show, but to make a film with us that we screened at the IMAX, which I thought was, again, a really interesting way to approach a collection. So
I think maybe it's the idea that it's not that often that you find someone with the vision to do shows like you did and the money to support it. It's quite often you go to very small presentations that have as much energy and creativity behind them as Lee's shows, but Lee was in a lucky position in a way to have the money or the people to find the sponsorship for it and the vision to back it up, which often you don't get both at the same time. But it is.
I mean, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, kind of. These people don't come along that frequently. Somebody with talent like Alexander Queen or John Galliano, these are probably once in a lifetime. There weren't that many Mozarts, there weren't that many Da Vinci's. There's only a few, and I absolutely have no problem comparing those names, by the way. So I think it is the fact that these people were and are very talented. We should cherish them, and we should support them in every way we can. The fashion is a very important part of our society. It's how we express ourselves. It's the most basic form of human expression. There's never been a culture, society that hasn't used it. And people like John Galliano, Alexander McQueen, a whole range of other people, are incredibly valuable to us. And very, very exciting when you study what they're doing. So, there aren't that many. And so if people don't do the shows like Lee used to do, it's mostly for what Callum says. It's not just another Lee Queen waiting in the wings. They're rare. Anyway.
On that note,
yes.
We'll finish up.
Thank you, Rob.
This session.
Thank you. Just to say, so I'll try and see how this went down.
We did over half.
We did about half, yeah. We still got a good. I'll carry these over to next time if we do it next time. My feeling is we're going to try and do these either once a month or once a week, something like that. But the webcam is always on in the SHOWstudio. Normally we put it over in that corner so you can see the whole of the studio. We just turn the audio off, so the visual is on all the time. So anyway, all right. I hope that's dealt with some of the questions. And I'm sorry if your question wasn't answered, but I'll try and answer it next time. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye.